Sure. Here is section 1 of your story script, precisely 500 words, focused, high quality, and free of fluff or repetition. It started like most days. Quiet, uneventful. My husband had flown out that morning on yet another business trip, something that had become so routine I barely noticed his suitcase anymore. We hardly spoke these days, just exchanged reminders and calendar updates like coworkers. I cleaned up the kitchen, responded to emails, watered plants I didn't care about. The house felt too still. My stepson was home from college for the summer. He kept to himself mostly, polite, withdrawn, almost ghost-like. We coexisted without ever really interacting. He called me by my name, not Mom, which I never minded. I wasn't trying to be a replacement. I was just someone he had to share a roof with. Lately, I'd started noticing small things. He wasn't just quiet, he seemed weighed down. There were bags under his eyes, and he barely touched his food. Sometimes I'd catch him staring blankly at the wall in the living room, headphones in, lost in thought. I considered asking him if he was okay, but never did. It felt like crossing an invisible line neither of us wanted to disturb. That night, around midnight, I came downstairs to get water. The house was dark except for a sliver of light coming from his room at the end of the hallway. I paused. There was a low sound, maybe music or a video, but not loud. Just enough to catch my ear. I hesitated, then told myself to leave it alone. Still, something about the stillness of that hallway made it hard to move. I stood there for maybe 20 seconds listening. Then I walked past his room slowly. The door wasn't shut all the way, and I glanced in, not out of suspicion but curiosity. What I saw made me freeze. He was sitting on his bed, laptop in his lap, earphones in. His expression wasn't what I expected. He wasn't grinning or embarrassed. He looked haunted. His jaw clenched, his eyes wet. I realized he was watching something intimate, graphic, but emotional. Something raw. I took a step back before he could notice, heart racing for reasons I didn't understand. Back in bed, I couldn't sleep. My body was still, but my mind wouldn't quiet. Why did it bother me? I'd seen things like that before. But this was different. It wasn't just the content, it was the way he watched it. Like he was starved for affection, for closeness. Like he was feeling something he didn't know how to express. I couldn't get the image of his face out of my mind. There was sadness there I hadn't seen up close in years. It was familiar somehow, painfully so. That night, I lay in the dark and realized how long it had been since anyone had looked at me with need. How long it had been since I had needed someone back. That was the first night I saw him not as my stepson, but as someone who was quietly breaking, just like me. And something in me shifted. Would you like me to continue with section 2? Here is section 2 of your script, a tight, emotionally charged continuation, written with precision and clarity. Word count, 500 words exactly. The next evening, I waited until I heard the faint hum of his laptop again. Same time. Same barely there sound coming from behind his door. This time, I didn't hesitate. I walked down the hallway, barefoot, steady. The door was still ajar, just enough. I pushed it gently. He didn't hear me at first. The screen's glow lit up his face, and I saw the same strained expression, fixed, overwhelmed, distant. Then he turned. His eyes widened when he saw me. Panic rushed to his face, and he yanked the earphones out as he slammed the laptop shut. I didn't know you were awake, he stammered, voice cracking. I was just getting water, I said calmly. Didn't mean to scare you. His hands shook slightly as he set the laptop aside.
Sorry.
I didn't think. It's okay, I said too quickly. You're an adult. You don't owe me an apology. He blinked at me like he didn't expect that answer. Silence stretched between us. I could have left then, ended the discomfort, but I didn't. Something compelled me to stay. Are you all right? I asked, and my voice softened more than I meant it to. He looked down. I guess. It's nothing. It didn't look like nothing. He hesitated, like he was choosing whether to trust me. I was just watching something. Not like that, I mean, it was, explicit, but not just that. It was emotional. Real. Like something people only feel when they actually care. His words hung in the air, heavier than either of us expected. I sat down, slowly, a few feet away from him. "I know what you mean," I said. He glanced at me. "You do?"
Yeah.
I haven't felt anything real in a long time either. He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for years. "My mom died when I was 16. Since then, I feel like I've been on autopilot. I go to school, smile, say the right things. But I don't connect with anyone. I understand that. I've been in this house for 5 years, and I don't think your father's touched me in 3. That surprised him. He looked at me differently then, like he saw me not as a parent figure, but a person. Flesh, emotions, loneliness. "I'm sorry," he said. I nodded. "Me too." More silence. This time it wasn't awkward. It was full of everything we couldn't say out loud. He rubbed his hands together. "You probably think I'm messed up." "No," I said gently. "I think you're human." He met my eyes, and the look he gave me wasn't inappropriate. It was grateful, almost wounded. "I'll go back to bed," I said finally, standing up. As I turned to leave, he whispered, "Thanks for not judging me." I paused at the door. "Don't thank me yet." Then I walked away, my heart heavier than before, because I knew that whatever line we hadn't crossed tonight, it was already blurred beyond recognition. Ready for Section 3? Here is Section 3 of your script, focused and emotionally charged, written without fluff or repetition. Word count: 500 words exactly. The next few days passed like slow-burning sparks. We didn't talk about that night, but it hung in the air between us. He lingered longer in the kitchen when I was there. I found myself listening for his footsteps, anticipating his presence. We kept finding excuses to be in the same room, brief, subtle moments that didn't mean much on their own but strung together like tension across a wire. One afternoon, he asked me if I wanted coffee. It was the first time he'd initiated anything. We sat at the dining table, drinking in silence. I noticed how his eyes would drift to my hands when I lifted the cup, how he watched me like he was studying something fragile. I didn't look away. Neither of us spoke, but it didn't feel empty. That evening it rained. Hard. Thunder rolled over the roof, and the power cut just before sunset. The house dimmed, and I lit candles in the living room. He joined me without a word, sitting close but not touching. We stared at the flickering flames like they offered answers we didn't have. "I used to hate storms," he said suddenly. "But now I kinda like them. They make everything feel slowed down." "They take away all the noise," I replied. He looked at me. Really looked. "You're different lately." "So are you." A beat passed. He reached forward, slowly, and touched my hand. Not suggestively. Just contact. I didn't move. His fingers were warm. It was the first human touch I'd felt in months that didn't feel obligatory. "I think I've been waiting to feel this kind of connection for years," he said, voice low. "You shouldn't say that to me," I whispered. "I know," he said, "but it doesn't make it less true." I didn't pull away. The sound of rain filled the silence between us. Then he leaned in, cautiously, almost afraid I'd reject him. His lips touched mine, soft, unsure. I didn't stop him. I kissed him back. It wasn't urgent. It was delicate. There was no rush, no hunger, just two people searching for warmth in a world that had been cold to both of them for too long. His hands touched my face like he was memorizing it. I let myself go, not because it was right, but because it was the only moment that had felt real in a long time. After, we sat in silence, the flickering light washing over us. I didn't know what to say. He reached for my hand again and held it tight. "I didn't plan this," he said. "I know. Are you okay?" I didn't answer right away. I looked at our hands, intertwined like they belonged that way, and realized I wasn't sure what I felt. Relief? Shame? Peace? "I don't know," I said finally. "But for the first time in a long time, I don't feel numb." And that truth, as terrifying as it was, settled deep into my chest like something I had been waiting to admit for years.